Hi, I'm Serene. I'm one of the scholarship officers here at Healthcare Scholarships. So today we are joined by 3 of our scholars. So can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Eddie. I'm currently studying in NUS. I'm a Year 3 student. My scholarship scheme is the CNS, or known as the Community Nursing Scholarship. I'm bonded to NHG at Yishun Health Campus.
Hi, my name is Jolene. I'm currently studying Occupational Therapy at SIT. I am under the Healthcare Merit Award, and my cluster is Sing Health, where I'm bonded to Changi General Hospital.
Hey, hi everyone, I'm Alan. I'm a Year 2 Physiotherapy student, currently studying at SIT, and I'm bonded to Sing Health, where I'm under Changi General Hospital.
So Alan, can you tell me why you took up this healthcare scholarship?
This is something that I'm very sure that I want to do as a long-term career. And by taking up a scholarship, it really gives me opportunities to develop myself as a person and also to be a better healthcare professional. Because the scholarship offers various opportunities, for example, CIP, where I will get to go down to different various organizations and serve the residents there. And through interactions, I think there's a lot to learn from them because they have a lot of life stories and life lessons to share. As for myself, I took up a vice president role in the EXCO. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot to learn during this scholarship journey, and that is why I chose to take up a scholarship.
How about you, Jolene?
For me, I think it's more because of the financial incentives as well. I want to be able to reduce the burden of university fees from my parents. So there was that aspect. I also feel like that the scholarship will allow me to have good support in pursuing the course that I want through different networking opportunities, as well as different kinds of exposure that we get when we travel overseas for community involvement programs or when we do volunteering opportunities here in Singapore. Yeah.
And you, Eddie?
For me personally, I believe that being in nursing is a calling for me, and having a scholarship actually provides a job security. So you don't really need to worry of finding a job when you graduate. So having this scholarship actually provided many benefits for us. So that is one of the biggest motivation for me to take out a scholarship. Secondly is my results in secondary school weren't very good, so I don't have a scholarship benefit. So I believe that having a scholarship actually motivates me to perform better in terms of uni. So for me, I specialize in community nursing, so which is quite different from being in a hospital. Because in a hospital, generally the nurses there they have many helps. So there are many people to assist them. But in community setting, right, the nurses there have to be very independent. So they usually are paired with either one partner or they are alone. So this is why it's important that they have the necessary skills from the hospital before transiting to community care. So for this scholarship, right, I will have 6 months of attachment in an acute care setting, followed by 6 months in a community hospital. So this enables me to have a solid foundation before moving on to community care. So in community care, besides doing all the things in the hospital, resources are actually quite limited as compared to being in a hospital. And we have to be critical thinkers because we don't have much resources, and if something happens, we have to act immediately. So we work together with occupational therapists. So they will install for example, they will suggest to install grab bars. We will enforce it and make sure that they use it at home to prevent fall. And we also have to make sure that patients adhere to their medication regimen, because if they don't, then they will readmit to the hospital. So we play an important role in preventing hospital readmission, and this is to help to prevent bed crunch, which most hospitals actually experience.
What exactly is occupational therapy?
Okay, so I think the biggest misconception about occupational therapy is the word occupation in itself. So what we mean by occupation is the activities that people need to do, want to do, or are expected to do. So it actually encompasses a lot of different activities, ranging from things you do at home, taking care of yourself and others, as well as your house, your work activities, school activities, as well as even leisure. Yeah, and how occupational therapies help is that we help to bring people back to that daily lives and back to that functioning that they used to have, or as much as they can get back based on the kind of disability or illness that they have. Yeah, so how we actually help others is through 3 different ways. We can help firstly by helping the person improve their physical, mental, cognitive, emotional functions. We can also change how activities perform. So even something as simple as eating food. Some people use spoons, some people use chopsticks, different cultures use hands. So we really look at those aspects and see, okay, maybe can we change the way people eat or the way people walk, or is there alternatives to taking the bus, like taking the MRT instead, things like that. Yeah, and we also do look at the environment as well, like how Eddie has mentioned. We do home modifications for people who need it. We can also change very simple things, like maybe just making sure that a task is performed in a quiet room so that it's easier for them to concentrate. Yeah, and why I like to pursue this is because I really like how holistic it is, because you have to really understand the person as a whole, understand not only themselves but understand the relationships that they have with others, understand their culture, the way they work, their routines and things like that. So it's each person is very different and very dynamic. So every intervention will be different, every process will be very different also. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay. Alan, so you are going to be a physiotherapist. So what exactly is physiotherapy? And there's always this misconception that it's only sports physio. So can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so one reason why I chose to study physiotherapy is because this is something that I'm very passionate about, both in terms of what I'm going to study and also what I'm going to do in the future. So in terms of job scope, physiotherapy requires a lot of personal patient interaction. And I think that there are very few jobs in the world that would offer such an experience, because physiotherapy is really a journey together with the patient. For example, a patient who got just discharged from hospital and they get referred to us for physiotherapy. Our aim as physiotherapy is to get them to where they were before the operation, and that process wouldn't happen overnight. Usually it takes about a few weeks to a few months. And there's a component on communication skills where we really get to listen properly on what people's intentions are or their needs before giving a reply. And I think that such skills will be taught in school, and you will be able to use it throughout your career as a healthcare professional, because many a times not every patient that you see has the same intentions. And I think that such skills is very relevant in terms of developing me into a better person, because I get to better relate and improve my interpersonal skills with people. And next would be the job security, because physiotherapy is one of those jobs that technology is going to have a really hard time replacing, because human touch is one of the fundamental components of healthcare professional job. Because patients want to feel cared for, and I think that can't be provided by technology, by robots or what. Physiotherapy is one of those jobs that technology can only exist to complement us and not to replace us. And also physiotherapy, there's a lot of purpose. Right from day one when you start school, there's already a purpose. It wouldn't be the same as like in primary school or secondary school, where we just want to find what is the value of X, Y, Z, you know. Sometimes I think about, after doing the paper, then I think about, why do I need to find what's the value of X, Y, Z? But in terms of physiotherapy, from day one, whenever a problem arises, then I would think about, how is this applicable to my real life situation where I'm going to be a physiotherapist? How would that apply? Like, why do we need to know what is the pathophysiology behind diabetes or behind certain medications that the diabetic patient have, and how we can tailor our exercises to fit that? Like, a lot of people have the misconception, like diabetes, you have high blood sugar. So then why do you still need to prepare a glucose meal when you're exercising such patient? Yeah, it's because like diabetic patients, they have high blood glucose, but the sugar stays in the blood and don't enter the tissue, the cells. So then you need to prepare a glucose meal in case when they exercise, the muscles don't absorb the sugar from their blood. So you need to provide them with the glucose meal. So that is, I find really great meaning in doing physiotherapy, and that is why I chose this course.
Okay, so there's a misconception that it's only sports physio. Can you elaborate more on this?
That is quite a valid assumption that most people have, because physiotherapy, most of what we do is like, I have joint pain, I need to go and see a physio. That is what is going around us, because most of the patients that is under the two other main areas. One is neurological physiotherapy, which looks into the cognitive function and the cognitive impairments For example, stroke patients, where they have like a blood clot in their brain, and that switches off some parts of their brain and results in them being having the difficulty or spasticity or contracture on one side of the body. So we really have to work in terms of muscle strength and range in terms of stroke patient. That would be under neurological physiotherapy. Then another branch of physiotherapy would be cardiopulmonary, where we look into patients' heart and lungs condition. So for example, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, pneumonia, asthma, this kind of medical knowledge not only helps me and my family, but also future patients. And yeah, those are two other main areas of physiotherapy that is not as well heard of as musculoskeletal. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me more about life as a student and life as a scholar? Anyone can take up this question.
I think life as a student, especially as a scholar, there is high expectation of you in terms of your academics. Because after receiving a lot of benefits and resources from the scholarship, I think that it is only fair to do your best, put your best foot forward in terms of academics, so that you can develop yourself to your utmost potential and benefit future patients. You know, there's a lot of value-added learning that you should pursue as a student and particularly as a scholar. Yes.
I think being in a local context really helps to set the idea of how your future profession is going to be like, because I think in terms of the cultures, the traditions, the way people talk and interact with others, it's very different no matter which country you go to. Yeah, so I think learning in Singapore is really helps me to understand the local context better, which is really important for an OT because of how important these cultures can affect the way people do things and their routines and the like. Yeah, and I think definitely being a scholar has its setbacks, you know, being a little bit stressed out about studies because of the expectations. But I think there's also a great amount of support that you can get both from your scholar friends as well as your friends in university. And you know, when you need help, especially being in the healthcare sector, the most important thing is to really rely on each other, especially through the tough times. So when we are struggling, you know, a lot of my friends, especially in our cohort, you know, we will just help each other out. Whether we have questions we can ask, or we can ask on behalf to our professors and things like that. Yeah, so it's a very safe environment for me lah. Yeah.
I'm a local scholar as well. I agree with both of them. Being having a scholarship is actually great pressure because most people will say, actually you cannot say that you have no money. They'll say you have scholarship, how come you have no money? Then another thing is you cannot display that you have no knowledge. They'll say, you're a scholar, you should know. It's very common. So this is some pressure that we will face being a scholar. But actually being a scholar has its perks as well. So yeah, having money, then you can actually upgrade yourself using the money from the courses, because in now, right, actually having a uni degree is not enough. You have to constantly upgrade yourself and follow up with the trend.
So what opportunities have you guys received as a healthcare scholar? Maybe we can start with you, Alan.
Some opportunities would include things that are beyond my studies. For example, I took part in certain CIP activities at the various organizations like nursing homes, where I really get to interact with the elderly there, to learn more about their life stories, their life lessons, and to thus brighten up someone's day. And also the non-CIP related events, for example, night cycling event that the scholarship board offers, and also some cohesion days, cohesion events among the scholars.
So you are Vice President for Singapore Healthcare Society. So what exactly is SHS and what do you do as a VP?
So SHS is Singapore Healthcare Society. It is essentially a committee that looks to organize activities for the scholars. It could include many events from CIP related to non-CIP related, like cohesion days, night cycling events, or like a fun beach day. And the SHS consists of the president, a vice president, myself, a secretary, and we work together in a team with other heads. There's a CIP heads that looks into organizing events that are CIP related, and also the events head, which looks into organizing things that are non-CIP related. So night cycling, healthcare forum will fall under the events head. And also we have the PR head, the personal relations head. So he or she is in charge of sending emails or sign-up forms to scholars so they are aware of the event and they can sign up.
Okay. Jolene, how about yourself?
I think for me, I had a very memorable experience when I went for the Overseas Community Involvement Program to Cambodia. I think it really opened my eyes to how our healthcare systems can be so different and how culture really played a part. I keep saying culture. But yeah, how culture really played a part because we were working with quite limited resources as well due to the area that we were at, which was not very well developed. So we had to really be very adaptable. And we came out with a lot of interesting things. So for grab bars, since they don't have grab bars, we made use of like bamboo poles. We tried making a commode out of a plastic chair. So it was really a very fun and meaningful experience. And I can really see how me and my peers have also stepped up and really shown with their expertise and their knowledge on their different disciplines and work together as a multidisciplinary team to help others in another country. And I think that was very meaningful for me.
Yeah. Eddie?
I also get to take part in the scholarship induction camp as well as the normal camp which we will hold for the new freshies scholar. Yeah, so I taken part in that and I become a OGL for them. And it's really something new being in the OGL and it's compared to a freshie scholar. Yeah. So you actually learn some leadership skills from that, which is actually quite useful for us. And similarly to them, I also taken part in a CIP event, which I think is good for us to volunteer and give back to the community as a scholar.
Anyone used your scholar development fund yet? Yes. Where did y'all go? What did y'all do with this fund?
I have used the fund to go for different conferences as well as overseas immersion programs. So I've used it to attend the National Conference for Occupational Therapy as well as to go to SIT-based overseas program to Japan, and that was quite fun also. Yeah.
As for myself, I've used my SDF or Scholarship Development Fund to go on trips to Japan and Taiwan, where we really get to visit the facilities that they have in their own country at the acute hospital and as well as the community hospital. And we really get to see the differences in terms of healthcare systems and also the type of skills that we have, the differences. Like for example, in Japan, they are very creative. So they come up with creative ways to transfer the patient without using the transfer sheet. In what I learned in school is you always manage the patient as best as possible, and that includes having two persons to transfer the patient. But I think in Japan there's this innovation where they came up with just a simple sheet, and they can just do it as a one-man job to transfer the patient over. So I think that is something very interesting to learn from them. And likewise for Taiwan, there is a lot of things we can learn from through the discussions that we have from the participants. Yeah.
Do you guys have any words of advice for aspiring scholars or someone who wants to join the healthcare sector? I
would say that being a nurse actually offers, or in healthcare in general, offers stability in terms of in this situation whereby we are being hit by the virus. And being a nurse actually is you are quite safe because people will still need you. As for aspiring scholars that want to join, I would say prepare for the interview and 加油.
Being in the healthcare sector really needs a lot of different skills and expertise. It's not an easy sector, I will say. So what will really get you through it is your determination, your empathy for others, as well as just to rely on each other as well. The interpersonal support is very important. I will say that if you want to come and be a scholar, you just know that it's really something you have to commit yourself to it, but know that you're not going alone.
As for myself, some words of advice that I'll give to aspiring scholars or even healthcare professionals. I think that whatever you do in life, you can't always expect the ideal situation or the perfect outcome, but that shouldn't stop you from trying. So even if you don't get the scholarship, if you really have the passion to serve, and you are someone who wants to help people, to care for people, then I think that you are a good fit for the healthcare family, and I would really see you in it. But just that you must be sure to know certainly what you want in life, and you must be honest about yourself. Do you see this as a long-term career? If you do, and you also find that this job complements you very well as an individual, then just go ahead and join the. Just go ahead and take up the scholarship and join the course. Yeah.
So I went online to read up a lot before I stepped in. So actually, most of my answers were quite well researched. But for those personal experience, then I will share it from the bottom of my heart. So it's very sincere.
I think just be honest. Yeah, especially when they ask you more personal questions, or even when they ask you different aspects, like when they ask about qualities of yourself. I think learn not to be intimidated, because there's definitely going to be more than one person in the room, but really just show that confidence, as well as how well researched you are. So if you are going to apply for a course in occupational therapy, then know what occupational therapy does. If you want to take the scholarship for course in physiotherapy, then know what it is. So they are also looking at how much you actually know about the profession, so that you know what you're stepping yourself into. Yeah, and just be honest. Yeah, I'll really say just be honest, because that honesty is what is also going to be portrayed when you are interacting with your patients.
Okay, as for myself, the first few initial seconds is quite intimidating, because everyone in the room was quite senior. There are a few heads of certain hospitals over there, but things started to get less formal and more casual during the later part of the interview, where they ask more about personal questions. They are really trying to get to know who you are as a person, and not looking for any politically correct answers. So I think that going through the interview, just go through it with an open mind. Yeah, so during the interview, just be honest about yourself, who you are as a person, and I think the conversation will flow very well. Yeah.
Okay, for the next segment, we'll be addressing some questions that we received through Slido. So this is just answer as it goes, okay? So the first question is, what are the benefits of being an MOH scholar versus an NUS/SIT scholar? Okay,
I can talk more with regards to the SIT part. I think that with the SIT scholarship, there isn't a bond, which is a draw for some people, but for other people, you might like how HMA scholarships actually do give you a bond, so that you don't have to worry with the aspect of like job searching and things like that. So if you like the job security, you can opt for HMA. I think with the HMA scholarship, it's also easier to network with other healthcare scholars or healthcare people, especially when you have to liaise. If you're in the SHS, I think you have to liaise a lot with different people within the healthcare sector to organize volunteering work, or to just have dialogues with relevant industry people. Lastly, I think we also have a lot of opportunities for volunteering and for doing things outside of our school life. So going to overseas community involvement programs, doing volunteering work, or even just regular bonding sessions with other scholars. I think that's what separates us from SIT-based scholarships.
So the second question is, what should I be writing in the write-up question about career aspirations? Are they looking for any specific traits or good use of vocab?
I think that really depends on you as a person. You must really got to be honest about yourself, about what you like, what you dislike, and see really if this career is a true fit for you. And then you write your values and what you aspire to be, what your strengths, weaknesses. Those are some things that you can write about in the write-up. And also, in terms of specific traits, I don't think there should be some specific traits, but generally, you must be someone who is willing to interact with people, have a caring heart, and just someone who don't give up halfway, because you must motivate your patient along the journey. So those are a few traits that you must have as a healthcare professional.
So shout out from our poly grads over here. So what are the GPA requirements if you want to apply for a scholarship?
Hello, poly grad here. So I would say just apply for it, because you got nothing to lose if you don't apply for it. As for the results, they will say having a diploma with merit is advantageous, but then just go for it and try. If you never try, you'll never know.
Okay, so for A-level students, if I didn't get straight A's for my A-levels, should I still consider to apply?
Do you get straight A's for A-levels?
No, I didn't get
we didn't get straight A's, I think rather than just looking at grades, I think first of all, really look at whether or not you want to join this profession, because like all different professions, they each have their own skills and their own setbacks. And I think if you yourself are not sure whether or not you want to take up the profession, then it becomes like a very, like, if you get the profession already, then you're like, oh my gosh, this is not a good fit for me. I think that would be an even worse outcome that will come out with. I think what's really important is to assess yourself as a healthcare professional, whether or not you want to be in the healthcare profession. Look at the way you interact with others, how you interact, how you present yourself. I think because as a scholar, you also have a lot of opportunities to take up leadership positions, and whether or not you are comfortable you know, sharing a vision or entrusting work, as well as taking on some work that you get from different people, whether or not you're able to relate to others. Yeah, because with all of these healthcare sector work, it's always a lot of interactions, and you must really be comfortable being with people, and you must show that when you're in the interview process that you're really comfortable being with people.
Thank you so much, Eddie, Jolene and Alan, for joining us today. So if you have any more questions, do comment below.